Chris White with Emerging Civil War, and I'm up on top of Pine Mountain. Pine Mountain is probably most famous during the American Civil War for an action that took place here on June 14th, 1864. This is where the Bishop General Leonidas Polk is killed in action. Polk is up here with a knot of officers, including Joseph Johnston, who's commanding the Confederate Army of Tennessee, as well as William Hardee. Hardee is a corps commander, as is Polk, under Johnson here during the Atlanta campaign. So up on top of Pine Mountain is an exposed position of some Confederate units. You will see Ren Beauregard's battery right behind us. That's the son of Confederate General P.G.T. Beauregard. So he has some guns up here. But this is actually a forward position along a line known as Lost Mountain and the Pine Mountain line here in just outside of Atlanta. We're not too far from Atlanta, about 30 miles away. So this is one of those lines as Johnston and Sherman keep making their way back towards Atlanta. This is one of those lines that I think people forget about. Well, up here on Pine Mountain on June 14th comes this knot of officers. And as they're up here, down in the valley below is another knot of officers. And that'll be William T. Sherman and Oliver Otis Howard. Howard's commanding the 4th Corps of the Army of the Cumberland. And of course, his boss is William T. Sherman, commanding this army group coming towards Atlanta. Down there in the valley below, they see this knot of officers, and William Tecumseh Sherman says something along the lines of how saucy they are. And he sees this knot of officers, turns to Howard, and orders a few batteries to fire off in this direction. A few shells will come screeching in, and Colonel Dilworth of the 4th Florida will turn around and say to the generals, "You probably need to get out of here," or something along those lines. And as the generals try to start to scatter, Johnston and Polk and Hardee all try to get out of the way, and Polk is actually going to be hit by a shell that comes screaming in, hits his left side, tears straight through his body, hits a tree, and explodes on the other side. He is killed instantly, falls from his horse Jerry onto the ground. As he's laying there on the ground, the men rush over to try to help him, but they realized he was killed instantly. Polk's a West Point graduate of the class of 1827, 58 years old, a favorite of Jefferson Davis, and probably one of the more controversial commanders of the American Civil War. He is the man who lost Kentucky for the Confederacy. He is the man who bungled the assaults at Chickamauga. He's a guy that Braxton Bragg could not stand and try to get rid of on numerous occasions. But Polk is beloved by his men, and the men up here, after he is killed, one of them will say that his loss is only second to Stonewall Jackson in the American Civil War. I think that's higher praise than Polk ever deserved. But Polk was taken to New Orleans, where he is buried. But Polk's body, when it's removed from here, is actually notified, or the Federals are notified via the flag system of the Confederates. The flags are actually read by the Union soldiers down below. They're going to read something along the lines of, "Get a wagon for General Polk's body." And at that moment, Sherman knows that he has killed Polk, and he actually sends a message back to Henry Halleck in Washington, D.C. to inform Henry Halleck and President Lincoln that General Polk, one of the highest ranking Confederate officers in the Western Theater, has been killed in action. Happened right up here in June of 1864, and then in 1902, a monument, an obelisk, is placed here to Leonidas Polk and his death here at Pine Mountain. So this is one of those out-of-the-way sites associated with the Atlanta campaign in 1864.